So week 1, living in the RV. We are in
South Dakota.
Yeah, right outside Badlands National Park, really close to interior South Dakota, population 94. And even
very remote.
I drove through town. I actually don't think there was 94 people living here. I would be shocked to find out. Really small town, but absolutely beautiful surroundings. Just miles and miles of green prairie.
Jagged rocks that change colors depending on where the sun is in the sky.
Yeah, it's a really interesting combination of topography.
Yeah.
So week 1 check-in, how do you feel?
Mostly good. I feel like, I actually said this to someone on Facebook, I feel like we brought too much stuff, which you probably knew. I didn't. I felt like we needed everything. I do stand by everything for homeschool, kids entertainment.
Sure.
I advocated really hard for that. You did not like where I was putting stuff or how much space I needed. That I stand by. But somehow I think because of all the stress of moving out of the house, we ended up with like an entire bedding set that we don't even need. So I used one of those like vacuum bag things to like suck it down so it's underneath, but I like can't wait to get somewhere where we can offboard that. I might have brought too many clothes. It's too soon to tell, but I feel like I probably did.
It's easier to get rid of stuff though too. So I'm okay that we brought too much stuff as long as we're able to get rid of some things as we go along.
Yeah, I don't know what that'll look like, but
we'll find a way.
And I already want to burn down the storage unit. Like, I never want to see any of that stuff again,
which
we knew that would happen.
I honestly couldn't name one thing.
And this is funny because if you would have seen us unpacking or, you know, we gave away more than half of what we owned. Yeah. Certainly in terms of clothes, furniture, toys. I mean, probably closer to like 70-75% we gave away. So what we already had left to pack or store was minimal.
It really was.
And I am already like, we have too much stuff, you know? So so anyway, I feel good. I feel like we've got too much stuff. I feel like we are all trying to wiggle our way into a routine. I'm trying not to go full-blown like homeschool mom on day 1 because it is still summer and this is a huge transition for our family. But I also feel like it'll be harder to build habits later. So I've been trying, like, we're reading every day, we're journaling every day. Like, because we're at a national park, they have really cool, like, junior ranger programs. And so I made my kids take that, like, really seriously. Like, we're going to do it, and we're going to fill it out, and we're going to, like, not, you know, just half it to get the badge. Like, we're going to actually try to learn something. Yeah. And I think that's been going well. I'm trying not to push, again, too hard, but I'm trying to start with some good habits. Something that we have been doing, I've actually had these for a long time, but they're like these daily schedule things, and it's how our kids can earn a point. And point transfers to money, basically. It's money that we ended up getting them these debit cards. It's through Greenlight. You can go check it out. They have their own debit cards with their faces on it, and they can buy their own souvenirs and stuff, which is highly motivating to them. And so they can earn points by doing these schedules.
It's funny to see them not have the gimmies as much, knowing that our rebuttal is always going to be, you can if you use your own money. And then
they don't want it as much.
And they still spend money. They still want to spend money, but I do see them processing
100%
the idea of using their own money. Like, do I really want it if I have to use my money to buy it? Yeah. Which is kind of cool too. So hopefully along the way they'll be more responsible with their money, I think.
Yep. So. Biggest challenges so far, I would say, on the minor side is the cat crying in the middle of the night. If you missed it, we had a lottery system for our pets and who was getting to go. And Katie, our golden retriever, is here, as well as our cat Stoops, who is nocturnal. We knew this about him. So he is asleep on the front dashboard probably right now. Yep. And then he kind of walks around crying at night, not really sure what's going on, adapting. I think that he will get into a routine, but it is kind of annoying right now. So I get up probably 2-3 times a night to take him out of our bedroom and close the door, but then he cries to get in because the litter box is in our bathroom. So that's a thing. Yeah. What has been the biggest challenge so far. And I would say it is a bigger challenge for you. And then because it's a bigger challenge for you, that ends up being the challenge for me.
The biggest challenge for me, first of all, this is probably, I want to say that this is also maybe my only challenge so far. Like,
well, no, we've got some other small stuff we'll talk about, but yeah.
Sure, but there hasn't been anything.
I was going to say stuff breaking, but that's like at this point, we're so good at stuff breaking.
Totally.
We're so good.
That's the Badlands today. And the kids' bathroom door, I broke by closing in.
Who broke it?
I did. I always admit it. I closed in the slide before closing the bedroom door. So the slide pushed the bedroom door and it bent both brackets. So when we first got into camp, I had to take the hinges off the door.
Which is totally a rookie mistake, by the way. Like, we got 3 years under our belt. That was that was a rookie mistake.
It was. But so immediately you had to take the hinges off the door, use my rubber mallet, my favorite tool.
This one right here?
Yes. We keep a lot of kids' books in their shoes and the dog food in this first storage bin right off the door. Tonight, we don't know what happened, but it broke. So I had to crawl in through an adjacent unit here and push it open, and then I took the door off.
So we can get through it, but...
Yeah, so now...
How's the repair going?
It's going to go awesome because I'm going to repair it.
Stay tuned. How's it going?
I think we've got it, but we're gonna find out here real quick. One more through.
Fighting daylight and lots of bugs.
Okay. Door closes.
Well, that's progress. And it opened. How are you feeling?
Accomplished for all the wrong reasons. RV life.
Another day, another problem solved.
Mallet and a screwdriver. That's all you need. Also, like, I anticipated that being an issue.
Yeah,
like,
and this is only because we are not brand new to RVing. If this was our first experience, we probably would have cried and gone home. I'm not kidding.
To have the things that broke like on day one, like it would have been absolutely devastating. But, so I think the biggest challenge for me was actually work. Well, I had issues with the internet when we first got here. There's no cell phone reception, and I need. Literally, those are the only two things I need. I need two things, and that's it. And so that was frustrating because I still had some calls booked this week that had been scheduled last month, basically. So I knew they were coming, and they're not the ideal schedule I want to have moving forward, but they're just what I had to get through this week. And literally yesterday was like it all just imploded. Like nothing worked. It was one of those moments where it was like if it was going to go wrong, it went wrong. And the reason this was such a big deal is that kind of like the stuff breaking on the RV where I anticipated the internet being an issue, and we invested in Starlink to mitigate that. Starlink is the internet satellite provided by SpaceX, Elon Musk. And
so when it doesn't work, I'm like, thanks a lot, Elon.
Yeah, I mean, the reviews are phenomenal by everybody. This is what they gave to the army in Ukraine so that they could have
our
internet.
neighbors are using it, and they're full-timers.
I've seen a lot of people use it. Actually, I've seen 4 or 5 RVs here, so it's definitely prevalent. And I understand that they're using it on cruise ships now to offer high-speed internet. So,
sweet.
And when it works, it's phenomenal. I can track how many devices we have on at any given time, and we've had up to 7 devices running off of it.
Which sounds insane, by the way. Is that just like our cell phones connected? Like everything's
cell
tapped
phones,
in?
laptops,
Okay.
tablets,
Just the
everything.
devices I was going to say we probably have 7 devices.
Yeah.
Couldn't possibly be on all of them at the same time, but okay.
So yeah, we set it up, and we had on the app, it was saying, hey, this is not working that well, basically. There's something blocking it, which was crazy because there was like no clouds.
But we did have storms the night before. Yesterday morning was really bad, and we had storms.
And I had tried to relocate the dish. I'd put it on top of the RV. I tried either side of the RV. It wound up to, I just did like a hard reboot, and it actually has worked really well
ever since then. Yeah.
The cell phone reception, we have to fight for, but there is a little gas station 5 miles up the road.
With a town with 90 people in it, is that what you said?
Interior South Dakota. So I drove
Shout
up there
out
to get
to all the residents tuning in from
interior South Dakota. So yeah, this whole week has been challenging with cell phone and internet, but
how did you handle it, Mr. Golden?
Horribly. I was like, this is literally I need 2 things. how lucky am I to only need 2 things to get my work done, right?
Yeah.
And I had neither one.
How
And
did
honestly,
I handle?
if I have one of them, I can probably solve the other one, right? If my cell phone didn't work, I can email people and be like, hey, we can't call, let's do a video chat, right? Or vice versa. I couldn't do anything.
How did I handle you not handling it well?
Probably not well.
No,
either.
well.
I mean,
No, not well.
so I think it was our first major obstacle, and I think we also got it out of the way because now we know, like now I can.
Well, I told you, I said, get in the car, go somewhere. Like, we gotta.
Yeah, like today we went to Wall, South Dakota, which is famous for the Wall drugstore.
Yep.
And Lauren and the kids walked around and got ice cream, and I found a little local coffee shop, which I love, like visiting small mom and pop coffee shops anyways. And they had a little patio
Did you even go
outside and
inside?
Wi-Fi. Yeah, you actually went inside to order,
Oh.
but there was no seating.
I was gonna say, it was
Tiny
like
little place.
almost like not a trailer, but yeah.
Like a shed, the size of a
Like a
shed that you'd
shed,
see
yeah.
for sale at Home Depot or something.
Yeah.
Really cool, had Wi-Fi, so I got to sit in the shade and get some work done, which was phenomenal. So there probably will be more of that in the future too, but it should only realistically be 1 day a week where that has to happen. So yeah, that was a big deal. Cell phone, internet was a disaster. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. So I've already moved on, and like I said, I think for the next stop, I'm just gonna prepare, some of my clients that I have calls with, and prepare myself to say,
Well, we're in a small town next time. We're out in the middle of nowhere right now.
yeah,
literally.
really.
Like,
But
there's
it's
nothing around
absolutely
us.
gorgeous. I mean,
Yeah.
the scenery at night, in particular, when sunset comes, is like insane. The whole sky is just red. Orange.
Well, and so let's talk about that because I think that's probably been the highlight of South Dakota for both of us so far.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't have any pictures or video footage because it was pitch black when we went to this experience.
Yeah.
But why don't you tell them what kind of our family favorite has been since we've been in South Dakota?
Yeah, so we've been to South Dakota before. We went to Custer State Park and Mount Rushmore in the Black Hills, and absolutely loved our time there. We drove right past Badlands, and we had talked about, like, do we turn around, do we stop? We didn't know. So this was always a place on our list to come back to see Badlands National Park. I honestly didn't know anything about it, didn't know what to expect.
I really didn't either.
Had never really heard anything about it, honestly. When it comes to the national parks, I don't think it's one of the prominent ones that you see a lot of photographs of even. But I think for me, coming here and not doing a lot of research in advance also helped some. It's actually really pretty. There's a lot of great scenery. Our favorite part, I'll just skip to it. At night, they did presentations, an outdoor amphitheater, and we went there and they had a great presentation by park rangers, and then when it got really dark they did an astronomy presentation, and they broke out these laser pointers and pointed out constellations and stars. We got to see the Milky Way. It was awesome. But we also learned that the presentation before that dogs actually originated from this area.
That was a cool fun fact. How long does it take for the light of the moon to get to us?
1 second.
How long does it take for the light of the sun
8
to get
minutes.
to us? And it was really funny because it was a young boy who answered first, quickly, loudly, and the park ranger immediately looked at him and went, "Homeschool?" And we kind of chuckled like, huh, interesting, because that is a new adventure that we will be embarking on ourselves. So
that's week 1. We're at Badlands National Park, having a good time. I think another highlight, not of the park, but just of the first week for me, has just been our morning routine seems to be really stress-free. Like, everybody kind of sleeps in and gets up on their own. We have breakfast. Lauren has the kids. They have their list of things to start their day, from getting ready to helping out to eating breakfast.
we're doing
To do a
morning
little bit of journaling.
sun salutations.
Yeah, doing a little bit of yoga.
Brushing their teeth.
And so honestly, the mornings have been awesome. If we can keep up our morning routine, which is just super, like, we're not, and no one's in a hurry to.
Well, it'll change as
to
we
get
go west, though. That's been one of the things I think for me is I didn't realize already we were on mountain time here. Like, I knew in Colorado, I knew we'd be on mountain time, but we've already switched. So I had to acclimate to that really fast for the few calls I had on my calendar the next 2 weeks. But then as we go to like
West.
Pacific time, like by then Daphne will be in school, my standing meetings will be the same time. So like we'll be starting calls in schools like by 7 a.m. basically, if not earlier. So that'll be different, but
When
not
we
necessarily
do-
bad.
When we do a Pacific time zone update, we'll be bragging about how relaxed and calm our evenings are.
Well, yeah, that our
Yeah.
day's done by like 1 p.m.
Yeah. So we look forward to that. All right, well, that's week 1. Hope you enjoyed it. Ask us some questions in the comments.